right. Wow, what a nice crowd tonight. All right, so let's see. It's 5:05. We're going to go ahead and bring this meeting to order. And I want to thank everybody for coming here. And there's a lot of celebrations tonight, and I look forward to those. If we get a roll call vote, please, Ms. O'Connell.
Councilmember Borelli? Here. Councilmember No?
Here.
Mayor Thomas?
Here.
And Council Members Zaragoza and Vice Mayor Taylor will be noted as absent tonight.
That is correct. And their sincere apologies for not being able to make it. They both are unable to make it tonight, so it's unfortunate. But we are here, and we're going to have a good time. And so here we go. So there's one thing under Ceremonial Matters. I am going to, yes. Oh, dang it. We got all these people here. I didn't start off very well, did I? Chief, would you like to start us off in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Ready? Begin. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'm so excited to get forward with all these things we got here. I kind of jumped ahead there. My apologies. So we're moving right into ceremonial matters. And what I would like to do is move item 3.4 up before 3.1. I know there's a few things that we're going to be switching around in the on the agenda, and that's one of them, but we don't get to the adoption of the agenda until later. So we'll make that ceremonial matters change right now. And with that, we're going to go to which 3.4 is the Mayor's Cup presentation. And we have another double cup tonight. And this is something that we have done, that I've been doing this year as mayor, and it's recognizing people who have, for the positive light you shine on our community. And this one goes to Al Soto and his brother Mark. And it's kind of fitting because they have both shined quite a bit of light during Festival of Lights on our community. And their efforts and energy and time that they have spent of their own, at no cost to the city, I might add, developing all of their own sponsors, and finding the resources to put together what I would consider an amazing event. And it's probably, I have to say, it was the best event we've had this year. Not this year, of all the Festival of Lights that I've been in the past probably 30 years. It's just been, it brought our community together in a time that that we really needed. And it brought it together in a way that we haven't done before, where so many people could hear what was going on, could see what was going on, and even more importantly, could feel what was going on. And the feeling we had downtown, and the reports I got back from merchants who felt very supported by the programs that were on that night, and by all the people that have come down, and family and friends, and I didn't get really anybody said I couldn't hear it, I didn't like it. It was an amazing thing. So.
I couldn't find a place to park, though.
That is that's music to my ears. If you can't find a place to park, that means we got everybody we could possibly fit downtown, and I think we did. I don't know that we could have fit any more people downtown. That was amazing. And to that end, all the police officers that were here that served on that night and protecting us and making sure that we had all our streets were plugged up and everybody felt safe in our community, I would like to express my appreciation for that as well, because I think that was a big issue going into that event, and recognizing that that our community wanted to feel safe as well, and for that, for everything that the police officers did in planning that process and making sure. I know you guys kicked it into high gear after the recognition of some of the unfortunate things that happened in some other places in our country. So with that, thank you very much. I know you guys hit it out of the park. And so with that, I want to go ahead and present these two. Would you have anything to say, or I know I've gotten in trouble because I didn't.
I think you pretty much said it
Did
all.
I cover it? Okay. I want to make sure. And so this is going to Mark and Also. Thank you.
I'll keep it brief because you have a, come on, Mark, come on up here. He's my twin. We're not really twins, but first it was an honor to serve, and the collaboration between us and city staff and everything was just amazing. What's really nice is we got to finish up this year with giving some money back for next year, which was really amazing. One of the teams I do want to make mention of is Terry. You and your crew are flat out amazing, just incredible. His team and Terry himself, who's probably a professional tree lighting timer. I don't know how he does it, but it was so accurate that the rows that did the thing that flipped the switch was just, it was just incredible. But just to say this, I'm 5 years living here in this community. It's my home. I have no desire to go anywhere else. We've lived in some pretty incredibly challenging times, and we got one night to kick off a season to make sure that we know that our community is awesome. And for all those who serve, from the chief and all of you, a lot of criticism going around. I happen to be a leader myself, so I know that sometimes the decisions you make don't make anybody happy. But that's okay, because we're human beings, and so sometimes it's dancing with porcupines. My biggest thing is this guy right here. I got to do it with my brother, who's a creative genius and has a heart of gold, and I'm going to let him talk. But I love Placerville, love all of you, love the way that you serve. I really mean that. And thank you so much for allowing us to serve at your pleasure.
I can't say enough. I wasn't expecting this tonight, Dennis, so thank you so much. I moved here a year ago, and when I moved up from Sacramento, I was super nervous. I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know a lot about Placerville. But in the past few months that I've had the opportunity to work with Rebecca and Terry and Chief and Dennis, I can't say enough about how much I love this community. So thank you for the opportunity to serve you. I appreciate it very much. This means the world to me. I've never had an honor like this. So I really appreciate it. God bless you all. Thank you.
Thank you, too. Thank you. All right. And there was, I'm a little remiss in not actually acknowledging the huge team of people behind them that pulled off a lot of good work, and along with the city. It was definitely a Herculean effort on everybody's part, and at the same time, those two led the charge. It was their creative ideas that got us going in that direction. So thank you guys. Appreciate that. All right. Thank you guys. Have a nice, safe trip. They did have to zip out of here, so thank you. Moving on now to item 3.1, a proclamation honoring Andrew Painter and the city planner. I am going to go ahead. Mr. Ribas. Did you?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Will you be reading the proclamation?
I would be my honor to read the proclamation.
Thank you. And I'd be happy to say a few words afterwards. That would be fantastic.
This is always a well, since you're gonna, well, I'll say a few words anyway. I've had the opportunity of working with Andrew on several occasions as a business owner and property owner, and I've had. Sometimes contentious, as I recall. And I don't know. I think we negotiated a very fair settlement on all of those, so we're in good standing. I hope, please. It is a bittersweet to to have somebody who has served and honored our community with their presence and their hard work and their dedication to city planning and to the art of what you do. And from my experience with you, you have always been fair, reasonable, and from the experience I've heard from other people, it's been the same. And so it's a bittersweet. I want to see everybody move on in their lives. I always feel that people come through our lives at different times, and it's a journey, and we get an opportunity to spend that time with them. And I appreciate the time that I've been able to spend with you, working with you. I was on the Planning Commission for a short period of time, and and that was a real experience. And your education and knowledge in that area is just it's well served. So thank you for that. With that, I'm sorry. Hopefully, I didn't steal too much of your thunder, Pierre. But it's just been my experience with Andrew. I'm going to go ahead and read the proclamation, and then we'll go from there. And some people just kind of say, well, I have a proclamation here, but I think it's important to read it because there's some really good information in here. So, a proclamation of the City Council of the City of Placerville recognizing Andrew Scott Painter, City Planner, for 20 years of public service with the City of Placerville Development Services Department and Planning Division. Whereas Andrew S. Painter began his service with the City of Placerville starting in August 27, 2001, when he started his position as Associate Planner with the Planning Division of the Community Development Department. And Andrew was promoted to the position of City Planner on April 28, 2006, heading the Planning Division. And whereas Andrew began his academic career in California State University, Chico, with a major in Recreation Administration, and after an extensive world travel, touring the western United States, fishing and river rafting, Andrew found himself back at Chico State to pursue a Master's of Rural and Town Planning degree. And whereas Andrew landed a position with the Lassen County Department of Community Development in Susanville, California, as an assistant planner and later promoted to the position of associate planner. And whereas Andrew's sense of wanderlust beckoned him to apply for the position of associate planner with the City of Placerville Community Development Department, beginning his long and successful career in city planning. And whereas Andrew worked under 3 directors, including Steve Calfee, who is here tonight, Mike Webb, Pierre Rivas, during his tenure, successfully supporting every function of the planning division. And whereas Andrew provided exceptional staff support to the Historic Advisory Committee, the Planning Commission, the City Council, and the citizens of Placerville. And whereas Andrew is retiring from the City of Placerville after 20 years of employment, during which he served as representative of the city, working with property owners, developers, private organizations, and governmental agencies, he leaves his mark on the city's landscape. Now, therefore, I, by virtue of the authority vested in me as mayor of the City of Placerville, State of California, urge all citizens to join me in recognizing Andrew for his tireless and meaningful service to our community and extend our appreciation for 20 years of public service and helping shape the city as a desirable place to live, work, and play, and further extend our best wishes in all of his future endeavors. So thank you. Thank you.
Andrew will miss you.
So you want me to say something, or? Guys, you said it all.
Please do.
I have a couple of remembrances, and I am sensitive to a long agenda, so I will keep my comments short. I know all of you have other items on the agenda tonight, so I have a couple of remembrances. As mentioned, I started in August of 2001. We all remember what happened a couple of weeks later. That was very memorable time to start employment, not knowing really how the city, the country, the world was going to move on from those events from September 11. But working in Old City Hall, I do miss it so. The old ketchup and mustard. It had character, actually being right on Main Street. That says a lot. We are close at Center Street, our building there at 3101, but it's just not quite the same of having that vibe of being right on the roadway. So I do miss that. And sharing an office with Gary Pigg, I'll mention some names. Mr. Calfee, of course. Steve was the director when I started. And I also remember my interview panel, and I'll drop some other names, which some of you may remember. On that panel was, of course, Mr. Calfee, also Ron Mueller, former director of community services here, and Dana Bowman, former director of the finance department. The other memorable things that have happened during my time here, I've got to see Home Depot constructed and built. I do enjoy my time as the planning liaison to the Planning Commission, as what I like to call the Planning Commission is our community theater. A lot of theatrical things happen at a Planning Commission meeting, as the mayor, of course, well knows. But it's all good. And what was stated earlier by a speaker from one of the previous ceremonies regarding government employment, and I learned a long time ago, and perhaps it was from Mr. Calfee, that not everybody is going to appreciate or like what you do. The way it's been taught to me or instructed to me or suggested to me is about 50% of the people may not like your decision. But you have to think about the decision as it affects the entirety of the community. And I've always tried to think from that optic, from that mindset. So I appreciate the proclamation tonight. I appreciate your time. Thank you so much, and I applaud you.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, thank you.
Am I going to be roasted by you now?
You might need to rebut, so Pierre, it's all yours.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Andrew, please indulge me.
Can I go sit down?
Just a few. Yeah, you can go ahead and sit down. Unless you can get up if you want to respond to anything I say.
I might have a retort. All right.
But if the council would indulge me, I'm going to be actually facing Mr. Painter. Just a few things I jotted down. Basically, I was serving on the Planning Commission back in 2001 and was first introduced by Mr. Painter by Development Services Director Steve Calfee following his hiring. So I got to know him as city staff, and he was always ready to assist with much detail regarding the city's position on a project. He was always equally helpful when I was on the council. Served 8 years on the council, Andrew, and I very much appreciated that I could always call you on the phone and you would get back to me right away with technical answers to
I need
questions
some data
have.
on signage. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, exactly. So there was only about a 2.5-year gap when I left the council before coming on board as a development services director. So I've known and worked with you for almost the entirety of your 20 years here at the city.
That's true. Yeah.
So I worked with them for these 20 years, and it's been most memorable. I can't tell you how much I appreciate, and as was said before, it's bittersweet to see you go, but you deserve it, and I'm very happy for you. I cannot thank you enough for always giving me your interpretation. What was our common practice? You were always professional. He always cared very much about the process and due process. As you said earlier, you were always making sure that whatever perspective an individual, a member of the public had on a project, they were given just due process to be engaged in the process, and I always appreciated that. Andrew can be moody at times, but that was easily remedied following his cup
State mandates.
Yes, as of late. But it was always remedied, I could always tell, following his cup of coffee. I always enjoyed that joyful, great sense of humor that was revealed following that cup of coffee. And I always knew when you had that coffee, and that was the time to come in and actually have those discussions with you on something a little bit more or less.
Now that I think about it, that's what you would do. I just did not draw that connection. Okay.
Well, we're a very small office.
Yes.
So having worked closely with him during the last 8 years will always be memorable. Andrew, you will be missed.
Oh, thank you.
It is bittersweet. Andrew is the most deserving of retirement and having a new chapter in his life. We wish him the very best. Please don't be a stranger. Do stop by or drop a line. Let us know how you're doing. And then I added one last thing on here. One last thing I learned about Andrew's late father was that he was quite the storyteller. So for the last several months, Andrew has been reading short stories that his father had written. He'd corral the whole office, and we'd all sit down and we'd listen to those stories. I so enjoy
therapy. It was therapy for me, and I'm glad you guys enjoyed it. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No, and I understand that.
Yeah.
But you know, your father really had a gift. I mean, you're an excellent writer, but your father really had a gift of his storytelling of times in the Army, and
he would love the audience here to tell a story if he could. And,
Yeah.
And I won't do it today. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
But I just have to say that how much it really meant a lot to me, because I never met your father.
Right.
But I so enjoyed getting to know you through your father, through the readings of those short stories, because I almost feel like I know him. I can almost reach out.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing. Thank you, Andrew.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Please.
Mayor and Council, if I could please, before we let Andrew sit down, this is actually a little later on our agenda, but we do have a couple of other awards to give Andrew since he has reached 20 years and also and is retiring. It's our tradition. Obviously, we have our Employee Service Awards that are later on our agenda. I'd like to award that to Andrew now for reaching his 20 years with the city. But also, when employees retire with at least 20 years of service, we have a city watch that we provide to them, so I also have that for you. Andrew, congratulations. You've been great to work with. I will say also from my perspective, Andrew, I think several times corrected me when I wasn't quite following the right procedure or policy, and he was always good at that and did it in the right way, and I appreciate that about him. He always knew where we should be going, what the policy was, and what we should be doing, and he was very good at that, and I appreciate that. So thank you very much, Andrew, and I'll present these to you.
Go ahead.
Okay. Andrew, I just really want to say ditto for all the accolades that you received tonight. And, you know, when you said you've been here 20 years, I've been here 15, and I can't believe it's been that long. But anyway, it's been a pleasure, and I'm just I really wish you tons of luck and great retirement.
Yeah, I'd just like to echo what everyone said. Really enjoyed working with you, and we did. Really enjoyed calling you in the office and learning you really have a good sense of humor. And you will be missed.
Yeah.
Thank you, Andrew.
Thank you. And honestly, I get so disappointed doing these things because it feels like for all the years of service that you have given the city and all the energy and time and your life, part of your long career in this industry, to bring it down to such a short period of time and crunch it down and say thank you. But I want to say thank you for the entire city, for our community, who you have served through the years. So, and I wish I could take more time to do that because I'm sure a lot of people would express their appreciation as well. But with that, thank you very much, Andrew. Thank you. So, all right. Yes. Sure. Absolutely. Thank you, Cleve. Well, you said it now, so I have to. So, if there's anybody that has any comments from the public, Steve, if you've had, come on, Steve. You come on. Let's hear it.
I hadn't planned on speaking. Andrew has a great sense of humor. Mm-hmm. You wouldn't know it. But what Andrew was best at is playing Siskel and Ebert in the office over a planning project. So we would get a project in, and I would look at it, I go, here you go, recommend approval. And he goes, I'm not going to do that. So I go, well, why not? And so we would have this internal debate, and after about 3 days of pondering it, he was usually right. But in those unusual circumstances when he completely disagreed with me ethically, I said, well, then just don't do it. I'll do it. So he was a great sounding board. And he is the academic in the office. And someone might be seen as more practical. But the one rule that I could never inflict upon him was the Calfee rule of no harm, no foul. And he would hold up the code book and said, well, where is that written? And so I said, it's up here. Because I said so. It was a pleasure serving with Andrew as a city planner. He's very technically well in what he did, and he was the balance in the office. And with that, we should all be grateful.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Appreciate that. Anybody else have any comments? All right. Seeing none, a final thank you, and we'll probably see you back around at some point, maybe, I hope. So, well, thank you very much, Steve. All right. And it's kind of fitting that, we have a farewell, because at the same time we have some hellos. And Chief Wren is going to be swearing in some new police officers, and it's very fitting that we're saying goodbye to one and hello to some more. So I'll turn it over to Chief Wren for his ceremony here.
Good evening, council, and of course our wonderful community. I am going to be brief because as I look back at my team, I've got several on overtime, and I don't think my budget can support it. So we'll move quickly through this. If I can have Officers Pullman, Wasner, and Frank come up here and join me, please. Now, I'm not sure how many people are familiar with a hiring process for a police department, but the interview is the easy part. Once they pass that, then we really put them through the meat grinder where we take a look at them and everything they've really done all of their adult life and make a determination on whether or not they have the character to be a police officer. And I can tell you without hesitation that these gentlemen have shown us that they have the character, they have the desire, and they have the commitment to serve our community. So I'm going to invite them up here to say a few words and introduce some family if they have some present. Thanks.
Good evening. I'm Officer Pullman. I've currently been a police officer for 7 months. I'm proud to serve the community, and thank you all for having me. Unfortunately, I don't have any family with me here tonight, but thank you guys for the opportunity to be a part of the community.
Hello, my name is Officer Wasner. This is my third week here. I'm grateful to be here. Starting out, the department's been so welcoming from everyone I've met to the community to just city staff. I have my mother, stepfather, and girlfriend in the audience with me today, and I just thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Officer Frank. Been with the department now for a week. Transferred from Eureka up in Humboldt County, and this department just feels like a home to me. I love everyone in it. It's very welcoming. It's very exciting to start a new chapter in my law enforcement career. I brought a lot of family here, the whole back corner, pretty much. So it'll take a little long to introduce them all, but thank you guys very much for this opportunity.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. We're going to do the swearing in now, and I would like to invite those that are going to pin the badges to join me up here as well. Why don't you guys go up there and stand with your heels against that?
Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Robert Frank,
Do solemnly affirm
do solemnly affirm
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
and will bear true faith and allegiance
to the Constitution of the United States
to the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California,
and the Constitution of the State of California,
that I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation
without any mental reservation
or purpose of evasion,
or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully
and will well and faithfully
discharge the duties
discharge the duties
upon which I am about to enter.
upon which I am about to enter.
Congratulations. Welcome to the city.
All right, thank you guys. Appreciate it. And that concludes our presentation for tonight. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you very much, Chief. It's always nice to be able to say that I was there when you were sworn in when I get pulled over. So, but no.
Remember me?
Remember me? Did I say that out loud? Sorry. No. Thank you so much, and thank you, all the police officers from the PBD for here to support. Sure. All right, we're going to take a 5-minute break here, and we'll be right back. All right, thank you, and we have a few people remaining here, so look forward to further conversation. With that, I'm going to bring this meeting back to order, and the first thing on our agenda next is the closed session report. And City Attorney, did we have 3.3?
Yeah, the presentation.
Oh, wait, okay, there's more of those. Let's do those. My apologies. All right, next on the agenda, Mr. Morris is going to go ahead and provide our employee service anniversaries, and thank you. Cleve.
I just noticed that we let one of our police officers get away that gets one of these that we should have caught before he left, but that's all right. We'll move forward. So we do this each year. We like to recognize our employees for their service to the community. This year we have 5. We already took care of one with Mr. Painter that I presented him with his 20-year award. This time, let's see. Let's start with. I'll announce these and then I'll actually present them because I think there's only one of them who is here tonight. So, first one for. Well, yeah, we'll have to go to it. For 15 years of service as Sergeant, Andy Litzius. And like I say, he got away. If you want to try and drag him back, Joe, but that's not necessary. We can get it to him. I'll come down and present it to him one of these days. So 15 years of service for Sergeant Andrew Litzius. Second, also for 15 years of service, and this is in our Community Services Department and Recreation, Julie Burnsides. Next is I'll save that one for last because he's here. Next is Tyler Gilbert, also in community services. He is our park superintendent, and he is receiving his certificate for 10 years of service with the city. And last but not least, Matt Lishman is also receiving his certificate for 15 years of service, and he is here, and he'll hobble up here with one arm. So, Matt, if I can present this to you.
Physical therapy.
Yeah. Oh, Matt, did you want to say anything? That's okay if you don't.
I can say something real quick. Yeah, I just want to let everybody know what an enjoyable time I've had over these last 15 years, and I still look forward to many, many more. And in the recreation side of things have been a little crazy lately in these times, but we do have some plans of some new future things. One of them will be going to the Rec and Park Commission tomorrow night, so you guys will be hearing some neat opportunities coming our way here shortly. So, and we look forward to getting those going. So,
thank you,
Matt.
Matt.
To working with everybody here for many more years to come. So, thank you.
I always feel so blessed to have members of our of the staff here who have dedicated so much of their time and energy to this community, and doing it over such a long period of time. It brings so much more value to our community, and I'm glad you call it home here. And I know your mom has spent a lot of time supporting this community, and I have no doubt that she's very proud of you and probably listening in right now. And so I've known you, well, all that time. And,
Well, since he was little.
Right, probably. And,
a lot shorter
yes.
than he is now.
And so with that, I just want to express my appreciation for the time you spend in our community, and the gifts you bring to it, and how much you support it. And just like you're talking about, you're looking forward to new and innovative ideas and ways to support it and bring new value to our community. And that's always a treasure. So thank you.
Mayor, can I just mention what? Just quickly want to mention they're given these certificates, but also it contains a gift certificate to spend some money in our great community. So they receive those also. Just want to mention too. I want to mention Matt. He is the one that came and talked to me and said, "Yeah, I'll be there." I says, "I'm surprised other employees are not. They really should be, and really appreciated what the city is doing for him. And we appreciate what you do for us, Matt. Mm-hmm. So thank you very much. Appreciate you being here tonight. Thank you."
All right, thank you. All right, with that, moving on to item number 4. Am I good? Okay, thank you. I got my observer over here making sure I get it right. All right, item number 4. Ms. Ibrahimi on our report out from closed session.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Thomas. So the council did meet in closed session tonight on 3 items. The council did not meet on the public employment performance evaluation at this time, but they did meet with their conference. They did meet with their labor negotiators regarding the PPOA MOU. The council has reached a tentative agreement with that bargaining unit, and a formal memorandum of understanding will be forthcoming at a future meeting. The council provided direction to staff on conference with labor negotiations regarding Local 39. And on item 3, conference with legal counsel for initiation of litigation. The council has directed staff not to file independent litigation against McKinson, Cardinal Health, and AmerisourceBergen, who are 3 of the major pharmaceuticals in the country, and instead opt into a class action settlement agreement for which the city would be entitled to certain proceeds for opioid abatement.
Thank you very much. All right, with that, we're going to move to item number 5, adoption of the agenda. And before we go down this road, I would like all of us to consider moving 12.1 to immediately after adoption of the agenda, so that we may assist with getting our 12.1 to the airport before she misses her flight. So, and I appreciate you risking staying here long enough to.
Favorable interest rates in the municipal market have returned, and the city desires exploring options for the refinancing of the 06 wastewater revenue bonds on an accelerated schedule. options, including issuing public offering or a direct placement financing with the bank. On November 3rd, 2021, this year, GFS informed the city that it does not have the resources available to appropriately serve the city at this time. In order to complete the refinancing, the city needs to contract with a new municipal advisor. And tonight, we recommend that the City Council approve an agreement and scope of work with Fieldman, Rolap, and Associates to provide municipal advisor services. In searching for a new municipal advisor, staff engaged other finance directors as well as the city's bond counsel, Dave Sanchez. Mr. Sanchez recommended two firms, one being Capital Public Finance Group, LLC, and Fieldman, Rolap, and Associates. Staff requested proposals from each firm, and the city manager and I interviewed them back in November. The cost proposals for each firm are shown on page 2 of the report. After reviewing their proposals, credentials, and references, Fieldman, Rolap, and Associates, or FRA, was determined to be the most qualified economical firm to become the city's next municipal advisor. A copy of FRA's proposal is included in the agenda packet. The initial scope of work involves FRA performing a present value analysis of available financing options, including, again, a public offering or a direct placement with a bank. Also looking at the amortization schedule options will also be considered to maximize the financing and address the city's budgetary needs. FRA's analysis and recommendations would be presented at a future city council meeting. The total cost of that initial scope of work would be $7,500. Depending on the type of financing that has the lowest overall cost will determine the cost of the transaction phase, which is the next phase of scope of work. FRA's fixed fee to assist another public offering is $30,000 even, and it's a fixed fee. If a direct placement financing is found to be most economical, FRA's fixed fee is $22,500. Both fees are contingent upon refinancing the transaction actually occurring. In order to expedite the financing, staff is recommending that the City Council approve both the initial scope of work and the transaction scope of work up to $30,000. The estimated one-time cost associated with the refinancing of the 06 revenue bonds are not included in your adopted 21-22 operating budget. However, those costs would be reimbursed to the city from the proceeds of the financing. And tonight, Anna Ceremonial, PhD principal, would be primarily responsible for all aspects of the engagement, and she's here tonight to answer any questions if you would like to ask her. And then Ms. Ceremonial will be assisted by Chelsea Redman, who is the assistant vice president of the firm. And both Ms. Ceremonial and Ms. Redman have extensive experience in advising California cities and optimizing financing opportunities like this. And copies of their bios are included in the agenda packet. So with that, we would recommend that you adopt the resolution before you tonight. And again, Ms. Ceremonial is here tonight to answer any questions you may have. So,
thank you very much. Questions at this time?
I don't have any questions. I just want to say hallelujah. And I know Dave is really happy, so I can. I've been after him for how many years, and every year we go through the same speech. So this is wonderful. I am so happy that we're doing it.
So what you're saying is now's the time, huh?
Now's the time.
Now's the time. What is the potential? What is the potential benefit of doing this? I mean, you must have some idea. Because before it didn't look like it was worth doing. Now it looks like it's worth doing. Mm-hmm. What is it worth potentially? Just a plus or minus, give or take. Maybe
there's a lot of variables, but potentially best case scenario, $3 to $4 million over 13.
How much?
$3 to $4 million in saved interest, but it really depends on the ultimate, what the financing is. Mm-hmm. So.
And lowering our payments.
And lowering your payments, yeah. So, the current amortization schedule ramps up principal payment. We're looking at ramping up principal payments so that we pay it off within
sooner.
the same amount of time, but at a lower cost to save interest costs.
Makes sense.
Okay. Ms. Sarabian, do you have anything you'd like to say at this time?
Of the council, it's a pleasure to be here tonight. Anna Sarabian with Fieldman. Just wanted to tell you a little bit about our firm. We were established in 1966, and so we recently celebrated our 55th anniversary. We're founded based on three main principles: experience, integrity, and service, and we strive to provide those to all of our clients. I serve as a municipal advisor to some nearby cities, to yours, City of Folsom and City of Sacramento, and I really appreciate the opportunity to be engaged by your city and help you with this refinancing project. So thank you for having me tonight, and look forward to working with everyone.
All right. Thank you very much, Hannah.
Thank you.
All right. With that, yep. Thank you. All right. If there's anybody, I'm going to go ahead and open this up for public comment. If anybody has anything to say, please approach the podium. All right. Seeing no one, we'll bring it back to this council for any further comments and a motion.
I would like to move the item.
I'll second.
All right. We get a roll call vote, please, Ms. O'Connell.
Councilmember Borelli?
Aye.
Councilmember No?
Aye.
Mayor Thomas?
Aye. All right. Well, that makes it a lot quicker, doesn't it, with three people up here? Thank you so much for taking the time to come here today and to at least sit through all the things you did. I know you're on a race to get down to the airport, but it's always nice to know that somebody takes an interest in our community and spends the time to actually travel here and not just show up via phone or just with a message. So thank you for taking the time.
Thank you.
You bet. Thank you.
Drive carefully.
Yes. All right, we're going to resume our agenda back to item 6, announcements and presentations to the public, and this is brief comments by City Council. I'm going to start off with Councilmember No.
Okay. Things I've been doing recently. Attended the ribbon cutting for El Dorado Transit bus to South Lake Tahoe. They run from Sacramento to Tahoe once a day now, so you have that option. That was exciting. I volunteered for the Christmas trees on Highway 50, and you see all those things lit up, and that was fun. I went to the Placerville 13th Annual Turkey Trot, always a fun event, a little community event, and the Christmas parade.
All right, thank you. And Patty.
I didn't go to the turkey trot. I went to the parade and participated in that. I thought we had a really good float, and we handed out candy canes that had our little logo on it, and I thought it was really great. Yeah. And let's see, what else did I do? Oh, I went to, I've been sitting in on LAFCO meetings, and they've needed me because they didn't have enough for a quorum, so I've been participating in LAFCO, and then I got myself on the budget committee, so I've been doing budget for LAFCO. And what else have I been doing? Transportation, yeah. And yeah, just been busy with all. Seems like we've had a lot of city meetings and stuff lately, so. Well, I'll report on fire safe later. So.
All right, perfect. All right, thank you, Patty. Let's see. We had our strategic planning meeting, and right, I think we were all there.
Yeah, we did that too. There's so many meetings I can't remember.
And I thought it was a great meeting. I thought we got a lot accomplished in terms of looking how to move the city forward. I think we have a great staff and we have great momentum, and I think that we're it's just a matter of actually it's a part of having the council and the staff have an opportunity to gain some alignment on our thoughts and processes and how we move forward. And I think that helps us be more efficient. That helps us be more mindful of what's important to our community. And I think as we move forward with this process, I think we're going to see some good things coming out of it. So I always have my back to you, it seems like, because I'm talking this way. Sorry.
Okay.
I'm sorry about that. Just smack me if I am.
When we
And-
redesign our headquarters, we're going to do it with a.
Yes, when we do that, we're talking about redesigning this up here in a different way, and someday. Went to a chamber luncheon. Frank Bigelow spoke, and I thought that was a great day. He had some interesting things to talk about, which I can't remember all of them, but about what's going on in Sacramento and how it's affecting us. Veterans Day proclamation. You know, it was a real honor to speak at the Veterans Day ceremony, to see all the our veterans there, and to honor all that they've given and all that they have done for this country and for this world. And it was just a great day to do that.
Gorgeous day,
It was a
too.
beautiful day, and the planes flew by several times, which was really cool too. Transit meeting and the Festival of Lights. I think we've exhausted that one, but not completely. The Festival of Lights was an amazing evening, and I keep, every time I think about it, it just makes me smile. So it's a great thing. One of the things that also went on that we were not invited to was the hostess, what was a debate or informational thing that was put on by the Taxpayers Association down in Cameron Park. City of Tahoe was there. Joe Harn was there, homeless. The supervisor was there. Sheriff was there, but nobody invited the city. And it was, I can't express how disappointed I was. It seems like homeless is the focal point is right here in the city, and yet they're all talking around us. And
Didn't we get an invitation like 5 minutes before the meeting or something?
Yeah, they invited
it's like,
us the day
whoops,
of.
we forgot you.
The day of.
Yeah.
And we weren't available. And that was the Taxpayers Association. I had a conversation with them, and they expressed their they apologized. But I'm going to leave it at that. So it was just a disappointment to see that happen. Although it was more of a political thing. Most of those people that were there are running for office, and so that seemed to be a little bit about what it was about. The sheriff's department got to say their piece, and all the politicians got up and said their piece, and then I think Cheyenne from Tahoe Coalition did a great job of describing, because I was able to watch a little bit of it, did a good job of describing what she does and how they operate within their context in Tahoe and what their thoughts are for the West Slope. So with that, we're gonna go ahead and move on. Consent calendar. Let's see. Okay. Moving on to consent calendar. All matters listed under the consent calendar are considered routine and will be enacted by one motion by roll call vote unless any member of the council wishes to remove an item for discussion. The reading of the full text of all resolutions will be waived unless a council member requests otherwise. Any questions? All right. None here. We'll go ahead and open this up for public comment. Anybody wishing to comment on any items on the consent calendar, item 7.1 to item 7.9? All right. Seeing none, we'll go ahead and close public comment, bring back to the council for any further discussion or a motion.
I'll move for adoption.
I'll second.
All right. Roll call vote, please, Ms. O'Connell.
Councilmember Borelli?
Aye.
Councilmember No?
Aye.
Mayor Thomas?
Aye. Thank you. All right. Moving on to item 8, public comment on non-agendized items. This portion of the meeting is reserved for persons wishing to address the council on any matter not on the agenda that is within the subject matter and jurisdiction of City Council. State law prohibits the council from acting on any item not listed on the agenda except by special action of the City Council under special circumstances. I reserve the right to limit the speaker's time to 3 minutes. You are not allowed to make any personal attacks on individuals or make comments which are slanderous or which may invade an individual's personal privacy. With that, we'll go ahead and any written communication, Mr. Morris.
None. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. And for that, we're going to move on to item 8.2, oral communication. Anybody wishing to address the council at this time, it is your time. And we'll go ahead and open it up for public comment.
Jonathan Gainsborough. Good evening.
Good evening,
Mayor. I wrote down a couple of comments which I'd like to distribute afterwards just for you to have a written copy of them. I stood before the last Board of Supervisors meeting this morning, and my comments are directed to both you all, which are very intelligent and compassionate people. I know we had the COVID crisis, and I know we had the Caldor fire, and we have come through all of them with God's grace and a lot of hard work by you all and all the county health and the fire, thousands of fire fighting officials. Praise God we didn't lose the county, we didn't lose Pollock Pines. But I'm standing before you tonight for the lepers of El Dorado County. The lepers, back in the Bible day, didn't volitionally acquire leprosy, but they were outed from their families, from their relatives, from their homes, from their jobs, from their communities, from their synagogue. They became the outcasts of society. And as you know, I've come before you now scores of times, scores, not just a dozen times, over the last 2 years, pleading that can we do something? Can we do something for those that were out in the snow last night living in subhuman conditions in the freezing? I woke up to a cold house. The electricity was off. I live up by Smith Flat in a nice place. But I was able to turn the heat on because they're replacing a thermostat. We don't live in a perfect world. But can we do something for them? The immediate crisis at hand is that the county says they're depending on the nomadic shelter. There's only 3 nights, and one of those is iffy. So we're talking about 3 nights at the best, less than half of the nights of this winter in the Sierra Nevada. People are not only going to get pneumonia and Omicron or whatever the latest Greek alphabet letter is going to be and flood the hospitals, but people are going to die. And I'm pleading to you tonight to think up something we can do. If you can get them even under shelter under the covered parking place to have safe parking. If we could have somehow work with the county to give a bonus of several $1,000s to anybody who has a warehouse, that not only would it be protected, it would be left better than they rented it out for. If we could shift some zoning regulation, if we could provide a porta potty for the 80 or 90 homeless women. Yes, there's hundreds of men out there. I know I have to tie it up, and the time just flies. And I told the Lord I don't want to bring it up to them. I've failed, Lord. I have failed to bring your heart to them. I don't weep. I'm not really broken enough. I'm not sad enough. I've got my 4 children and my 4 grandchildren, a nice house and a college degree, and I'm retired, serving humanity and serve. Can we please somehow find some way to get them out of the freezing cold, please?
All right. Thank you.
To treat them better than we treat our pets, please. In Jesus' name, God bless you. Have a Merry Christmas.
Thank you.
Please, let's do so.
You too.
Thank you.
Please.
Well, I second that. I'm Dawn Wolfson. I'm from Cameron Park. I don't actually live in Placerville, but I come up here a lot. I do fun things like jury duty and sightseeing events and so forth and so on. And I'm just really, really concerned with the fact that the Proud Boys have yet again inserted themselves into another public event. They were seen marching in the Christmas parade next to the war cry float, flashing hand signs, and I just don't want to see a group like that normalized. That group has named themselves after a national group that has people who've been convicted of all sorts of violent acts that they started. You know, they've been involved in the insurrection at the Capitol and so on. The local people claim, you know, they're not like that, but then why did they name themselves after that group, and why do they keep inserting themselves into these public events? It's they're trying to normalize themselves, and what they are is just not normal. It shouldn't be part of this town, and I'm just really, really hoping that somehow you find a way to put a stop to it, either with different organizers or something, because it's not true what their supporters were saying. They weren't just enjoying the event with their friends and family. They actually inserted themselves into the parade and were flashing hand signs, and that's just really not okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Don.
I think maybe mine's a good segue to Don, because what I wanted to come talk to you about, and you know, I first walked in here and everybody was in such a happy mood, and we had a swearing in, and we had celebrations and awards and stuff, and I loved every minute of that, but I don't. My concerns are things that are keeping me up at night, and I just got to tell you about them. So one of them is certainly the Proud Boys issue, and there's got to be a way to keep them out of our city. So is it the War Cry motorcycle gang that they were marching with? I'm not sure, but it just didn't seem appropriate, and with their signs, as Don was saying. But here's something that I think a lot of you are not going to like, because what is also clear to me is that there's a link between Proud Boys and evangelical Christians and the Ku Klux Klan and their cross, and all of these things are kind of interwoven, and there's been a lot of articles written about that. So I'm not just imagining this or making it up, but it is real. And for example, the symbol of terror with a noose, and I really am appreciative of all of you for taking the steps to get the noose removed from the logo. And I know it wasn't easy, and I watched what you went through to make it happen, and I really appreciate it. But since then, it seems like, there's been this surge of backlash on it, I guess you would call it. And one of the things that shows me that there's a tie between religions and, that kind of Christian event, what's the word I want, nationalism, that has me worried is I've been seeing these bumper stickers on cars which it says Hangtown, fine, but the T on the Hangtown is a cross. It's a big old cross in a much larger font, and a rope is woven through it, and a noose hangs from the end. Okay, so that, to me, that's there it is. It's the two tied together. So with apologies, I want to say that so that when we have events like the Christmas tree lighting, which I get that everybody was happy, and I get that the music was good, and there's a lot of enjoyment, but I don't think that people realize that, once again, that brings out the Christianity part, excuse me, and, it was songs about Jesus and on and on and on. If you're not Christian, if you're atheist, or if you're, or even if you're just a type of a person who does believe in Christ but wants to keep it private, is not really into the louder singing about glory of God and such, it was uncomfortable. So, I hate to put a kibosh on the celebration of what you all enjoyed so much, but I think we need to think a little bit about including everybody in the community and not just, that particular group of people.
Oh, right.
So there's one more thing, if I could just say, and this is little, but and it's just something that caught my eye, and I think you might want to consider looking at it too. Is one of the Christmas trees appears to be a burning cross, and so it's a very large cross on the tree, and the way the red lights are arranged underneath make it look like a fire. And the burning cross, as you know, is a symbol for the KKK. So I apologize I took all that extra time, but maybe I'll be able to sleep a little better tonight. I'm not sure. So.
I didn't catch your name.
Oh, sorry.
That's all right.
You should know me. I've been here 40 years. Margie Lopez-Reed.
Yes, I do know you.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thanks.
Thank you, Margie. And good or bad, all comments are welcome. That's what we're here for. Sometimes it works to be good, and sometimes it's not. It's all of it we want to hear. So thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Council and other city leaders. It's a pleasure to address you tonight on similar ideas. And I would add that although it sounds like unwelcome news, all the people that are speaking here, including myself, are because we care about the city of Placerville and we care about how it's portrayed in the public eye, not just here locally but nationally. And that's definitely a reason for me to speak. My name is Joseph Connolly. I think I said that. I live in El Dorado County, but my family originated here in the 1930s with my grandparents. They raised 2 daughters here, and I'm a product of that and grew up here as a young boy and entered the armed forces as a young man from high school. And now I've retired from that after 25 years and have El Dorado County as my home again. I wanted to take a moment to provide you some feedback on all the divisive civic issues that we've all been dealing with over the last couple of years, but especially this last one. And those include, of course, the issues of the nooses, the identity of Hangtown versus the city of Placerville, and the ownership of that, the Proud Boys, of course, and claims of Placerville by those who want to say this is our town, as if it belongs to only a certain group of people instead of to the public at large. I want to tell you in terms of my feedback that as long as we have those issues still out there being as a divisive focal point, including an effigy that hangs on Main Street, and as long as Placerville continues to market itself as Hangtown and profit from the deaths of 1850 miners instead of letting them rest in peace, I want to tell you that I don't do business in Placerville anymore. I refuse to come down to Main Street, as pretty and as beautiful as it looks during this holiday season even. I don't want to drive past those reminders, and I won't do business up on Broadway. And I'm not the only person that feels that way, but I want to tell you that because I care about our city. As I said, my family came in here during the 30s, and I talked to you throughout the year about some of these issues, and I think I've told you before that the hangman struck me as inappropriate ever since I was a young kid, and that goes back to the early 1960s. My uncomfortableness about coming back to Placerville includes the uses of the bell tower for a political rally this year for a very pointed political purpose. Plus, as I said, the language of Placerville as our town. That strikes me as a place that has ownership, that the people that say that are possessive of it to the exclusion of others. It's not very welcoming, and I can tell you without any doubt that as somebody who grew up here, I don't feel welcome in this town, and I've lived here for many, many years. And part of that is because of the response or the lack of response by the city to deal with some of these issues more substantially. And I'd like to see you address some of those issues more substantially over the last year, particularly the issue of the Proud Boys. And I was prompted to come here tonight, which I probably wouldn't have otherwise, by their inclusion in the Christmas parade, which struck me as very offensive to see people walking down along a holiday event with nooses on their clothing. I want to share with you a picture, and I brought copies that I'll leave with the clerk, that this isn't just a local issue. This is a picture from December 12th of last year, and this gentleman here is a Hangtown Proud Boy in Washington, D.C., gathered with thousands of other Proud Boys from throughout the country, preparing to plan the attack on our nation's capital in the month following that. And our Proud Boy leader here in Hangtown is active throughout the state in these activities, and there shouldn't be any question about that. Finally, if you're interested, I can also leave you a copy of screenshots from the parade with the Proud Boys in it, as well as their relationship with the War Cry Motorcycle Club and with Sue Taylor. There's documentation of that. You don't have to take my word for it. It's public information, which I will leave with you, as well as my offer to be a part of making things different or better. That has always been my offer when I've appeared before you, and I make it again. I'd like to see things done differently and better and more substantially, and I'm not here to criticize. I'm here to offer feedback as well as to offer what I can do to make things better. Thank you.
Thank you, Joseph, and thank you for your service.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Just for clarity purposes, the Proud Boys were not a participant. They were not granted they were not permitted to be in the parade, and they joined it surreptitiously at some point through the parade, just for clarity purposes. And we still have, go ahead if public comment is still open.
Well, I was kind of hesitant to get up here. Barbara Rogers,
Hello,
Cameron
Barbara.
Park. But as a lot of you know, my son owns a business here, and I also started my career with the city in 1978. And it breaks my heart to see what's happening here with this group of people. One of the reasons I don't like to speak publicly is because I've been attacked by certain people, and I also don't want to bring anything down on my family, which has happened, by the way. Some of those people, very same people in that parade, showed up at my son's business one time when my grandson was running the shop. So I'm kind of afraid. I do come to town, but I don't go any further than 103 Main Street, my son's shop. I feel so sorry for all of you and for the city for what you're going through. This shouldn't be happening here. This isn't what our city should be about, or our county, but our whole country's going through it. These people are very scary, and I don't know what you can do about it, but it's very sad to me to see these people are almost like rubbing your face in it by jumping into the parade at the courthouse, walking along with the war cry. I know some of these people in that motorcycle group. They went to school with my kids, but they're not very nice people. They may portray they're nice people, but they're not nice people. And that's where it's at with me, is they are not, and I'm going to call them young people, because they could be my kids, or maybe some of them my grandkids. So I know you have a tough road, but something needs to be done about the Proud Boys being so arrogant and flashing their okay signs. Enough is enough, and I, for one, will go on the record that I and some of you know, resented when they showed up at the bell tower and had that rally on September 11th, because September 11th is something that is sacred to all of us, but I think for those of us in the fire service, it's even more sacred. And for those people to do what they did on that day around that bell tower and the history of the Placerville Volunteer Fire Department absolutely made me sick to my stomach. And I hope that never happens again. But anyway, happy holidays to all of you and good luck.
Thank you, Barbara. All right, I think that is everybody in our audience. Thank you, everybody, for coming and sharing your thoughts with us this evening. And with that, I'll go ahead and close public comment. And you're there. All right, thank you. All have a good evening, and we'll bring it back to now item 9, items pulled from consent calendar, which we have none. And
Mr. Mayor, I just want to make one quick
please,
comment. I'm sorry that Jonathan left, because I could have explained a little bit more in depth. I did have a conversation with him during our break. But concerning the homelessness and winter, whenever there's extreme weather events in the city, It's up to you, Mayor.
Thank you. Go ahead and finish what you're saying. And
Yeah, whenever we have extreme weather events in the city of Placerville, whether it be during the summer or winter, our police officers are active within the homeless community, checking on their welfare. If it's summer, they're bringing them water, making sure they're not overheating. And just today, they spent a majority of their morning out in the known homeless encampments, ensuring that people had dry clothes, had warm clothes, and did not need any assistance. So, yeah, I can appreciate Mr. Gainsborough's passion, but it's a little disingenuous for him to make the claim that we don't do anything. We're doing everything possible as a city to care for this population within the means that we have available to us and within the regulations. So I have some other stuff to talk about too, but I'll take a pause.
And I'd venture to guess at one point or another you have had contact with every one of these homeless, and you've extended to them the opportunity to get out of homeless, and they choose to stay where they're at.
Absolutely. We're up there, specifically our officer assigned to homeless outreach is she's contacting these folks every day just about and asking them what they need. If anybody comes up to us and says, I'm done, I will follow whatever program you need me to follow to get out of homelessness, we can get them there.
Yeah.
There's resources available. That's not happening. And I hear homeless advocates criticize the police department and criticize the city. I've never seen a homeless advocate up on the side of the hill. I've been up there plenty of times. So I get where their passion's coming from and I get where the frustration lies, but it doesn't lie at the feet of the city of Placerville. We don't have a health and human services agency. We don't get funding for this. Citizens are paying for a police officer out of our budget to deal specifically with this issue when it could be reassigned to something else. Drugs, traffic. But no, we've identified homelessness as a concern. So we are lifting our fair share. So thank you.
Thank you, Chief. I will go ahead and reopen public comment and give you an opportunity to speak here.
This off. I appreciate that, Mandy Rodriguez. I was just, someone sent me a text message and said that Barbara was up here talking about, I wasn't even at the parade, just so you know. I didn't organize anything. I don't do party planning anymore. I kind of got out of that business when it backfired on me last year, which was my only intention last year was to help Toys for Tots and bring toys. I had no idea what was going to happened. And all these people clutching their pearls like something's happening, like something happened at their parade. All I know from what was told to me is that two different white women got in the face of these guys and started filming them and flipping them off. So let's talk about who's being intolerant. You know, if everybody gets a seat at the table, and you may not like it, you may not agree with somebody, but everybody gets a seat at the table. And until you're violent or being being aggressive towards somebody, you are welcome in this community and in this country. That is the country we have. You may not like the color of their skin. You may not like the clothes that they wear, but they are part of this community. And if they are not hurting anyone or being mean, they were down there with their families and kids, and they were getting flipped off by grown women who say that they're community advocates and that they're advocating for tolerance. Well, I'm not seeing much tolerance from these ladies. There was no tolerance from these ladies that knew me when I had a shop on Main Street and I worked with them hand in hand, and next thing you know, they're calling me a white supremacist. This is ridiculous. I have never in my life had to deal with something like this. And I grew up in a little town called Flagstaff that is way more diverse than this town. But for some reason, it happens to be white people fighting with white people and trying to be the protectors of others, when everyone should just let it go, especially on Christmas. And one more thing. September 11th celebration that was down there, I didn't see any Proud Boys. I didn't see, so to connect that to that, it's just, you're just grasping for straws. And Mr. Mayor, did you not get up and speak that day? Was it not a great day and everyone enjoyed it? And because some people want a virtue signal for themselves, they can't let people just be people and enjoy the night or the day. They have to find something to complain about. Everybody at that parade had a good time. Unfortunately, I had to work. So can we just stop and be tolerant?
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to bring it back to item 9, items pulled from the consent calendar. We have none. It took me a second to get there, but I got there, okay? All right, item number 10, ordinances. Waive the second reading of the ordinance by title, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Placerville adding Chapter 7B, Organic Waste Disposal, reduction to Title 7, Health and Sanitation, adding Section 4.1.10, Compliance with Cal Green Recycle Requirements to Chapter 1, General. Do I need to read all this? Is it important that I read all this? No. Okay, so we're going to, because after I all get done reading, you probably won't understand what I said anyway. So item 10.1, and I'm going to turn this over to Mr. Rivas, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. The purpose of this ordinance is required to meet the requirements of Senate Bill 1383. So if you recall on your November 9th meeting, the council considered staff's recommended ordinance, introduced the first reading without modification, and then directed staff to bring the proposed ordinance back for council adoption, which is tonight. If adopted, the ordinance would take effect 30 days from today, and you have a number of options. You could waive the second reading of the ordinance as recommended. 2, you can make amendments to the ordinance and adopt if minor in nature. You could direct staff to revise the ordinance, bring it back to council for further consideration. And then 4, you do not approve the ordinance at this time and provide additional direction to staff to come back. So you're waiving the ordinance to do a number of things. It's basically, and I'll go ahead and read it. I don't mind reading it since you didn't want to. It's an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Placerville adding Chapter 7B, that's the Organic Waste Disposal Reduction, to Title 7 of the Municipal Code, which is the Health and Sanitation section. It's adding Sections 4-1-10, which would be in compliance with Cal Green recycling requirements, to Chapter 1, General Regulations of Title 4, which is construction regulations, and then also adding Sections 10-6-19, that's regarding compost and mulch use requirements, to Chapter 6, and that's the water efficient landscaping regulations, to Title 10, which is the zoning code section of the Placerville Municipal Code, and then you'll be making the determination of exemption under the California Environmental Quality Act. And then you'll be adopting said ordinance. So with that, that concludes staff's report. I'll be happy to try and answer any questions you have at this time.
There was a reason why I didn't say that, because you said it much better than me. So thank you.
You're very welcome.
With that, anybody have any questions for Pierre?
You know, I don't have any questions, but I just would like to say I saw it was a news item on Channel 3, and I don't know if the rest of you saw it or not, but they were explaining this ordinance, and it was really well done. And, you know, the way they did it, very short, but it was very well done, explaining to the people, you know, what was going to be required of them and why, et cetera, et cetera. So we might.
Did you feel better about it when you were all done about charging our community more money for this service?
Yes, I did.
Really?
I mean, when they gave their reasons for,
Okay.
well, I don't, Dennis, state mandates, I'm so sick of them. You know that.
Yeah, you've seen a few, haven't you?
And it's just, it does, you know, but I'm looking at it from the way they presented it, and the results that they're hoping for, and I hope, God bless them, I hope it happens, but anyway, it made a little bit more sense.
Like all good intentions. We'll see. Jackie.
Yeah, I wish we'd quit calling them state mandates and start calling them what they are, taxation without representation programs.
I like that. All right. No further discussion? If we can get a motion. I'm sorry. Let's just no. I'm sorry. We're going to go ahead and just notice that there is nobody in the audience at this time. Everybody has gone home because this is not the exciting part of the meeting, I guess. But this is what we do when nobody's watching, is talk about garbage. So here we are, and we're going to go ahead and close public comment. Bring back to council for any further discussion or a motion.
I'll move the item.
Second.
All right. Roll call vote, please, Ms. O'Connell.
Councilmember Borelli?
Aye.
Councilmember No?
Aye.
Mayor Thomas?
Aye. Thank you very much. Moving on to item 10.2, waive the second reading of an ordinance amending Title IX of the Placerville Municipal Code, Traffic, Chapter 3, Stopping, Standing, and Parking. The affected sections include Section 3, Restricted Parking Zones Designated, Section 8, Restricted Parking, and Section 14, No Parking in Designated Bicycle Lanes. Ms. Neves.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Very well done, thank you.
Yes.
This one is not quite as exciting as talking trash, but as you may recall, at your last meeting on November 9th, the amendment for Title IX was presented to amend the municipal code regarding traffic and parking, restricted parking, and designated bike lanes. It was introduced without modification, and the first reading was waived. Options for this evening's action include adopt the ordinance, or 2, make an amendment and reintroduce, or 3, do not adopt at this time. Staff recommends waiving the second reading of waiving the second reading and adoption of the amendment to the ordinance. That concludes my summary. I'm happy to answer any questions you have.
Thank you very much. Is there any questions for staff? And I'm going to once again note nobody rushed in at the last second to talk on this item. So we'll go ahead and open and close public comment as there's nobody here. And we'll bring it back to the council for, wait, I have a comment. Patty, after all of our discussions at the last one, have you?
Well, I had a conversation with Cleve about it, and I think I've got what I was curious about. Not curious, but what I was thinking about. Cleve.
We know what you're talking about.
Help me out here. I thought it was a little more extensive than it is, and and the only reason I brought it up, it wasn't for this particular item. However, it was about parking in Placerville.
Yeah.
And I wanted to be sure that this wasn't closing off our ability to, if me or anybody else has complaints, that we could still bring it forth and it would be looked into.
Perfect.
Is that right?
That's right.
All right.
Sound right? Okay.
Well, I just wanted to make sure because we kind of,
Exactly.
All right. With that said, I'm going to request a motion here.
So I'll move the item.
All
I'll
right.
second.
All right. Roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Borelli?
Aye.
Councilmember No?
Aye.
Mayor Thomas?
Aye. All right. Thank you very much. We have no items for public hearing tonight, so we're going to move on to discussion items. We have already heard item 12.1, so we are going to move on to item 12.2. Request for approval of closure of Stagecoach Alley, which at this point, I'm going to go ahead and read the whole thing real quick. Request for approval of closure of Stagecoach Alley, an area directly around the bell tower for April 30th, 2022 Taste of Main Street event between 9 a.m. and 6 p.m. And at this point, I would have to recuse myself because I have a business within the area of that particular event, in which case there's only 2 left and we don't have a quorum to meet the requirement to vote on this item, so we are going to defer it till the next meeting. Did I say all that correctly?
That's absolutely correct. Yes,
All right.
thank you.
Okay, good. So with that, we'll table 12.3 till the next meeting, or 12.2 till the next meeting until we have a quorum that can address this issue. And at that point, I'll be recusing myself because my business is directly in that area. 12.3, adopt a resolution amending the Placerville Hotel Incentive Program. Mr. Morris.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. In 2015, the Council adopted our hotel incentive program, which authorized the sharing of transient occupancy tax with developers. Since that time, we did adopt one agreement in accordance with this policy. However, it has not ended up moving forward yet. It is the same hotel, the Gateway Hotel, that we are currently working on. The hotel policy, the incentive program, expires at the end of this month, December 31st. I do believe that we are very close with our hotel developer that we are working on, and feel that it's important to keep this policy in place to encourage that development to continue. Not to mention that there is one other hotel we have recently been working on with up on Forney Road, and have offered this incentive program to them also. Not in specifics to them, it's just the general program. No agreement with them at all at this point. So what I'm asking tonight is basically to change the hotel incentive program, basically just changing the dates or the primary changes to extend it. I believe I made it through 2024. So an additional 3 years on what we have currently. I'm happy to answer any questions. I will note that the current hotel, the Gateway Hotel that we are working with, made a presentation to the Placerville Economic Advisory Committee last Friday. It was well received. They will be going before Planning Commission for approval on December 21st, so a week from today. Once they get through that part, we will be coming back again with some minor revisions to the current agreement we have with them for this program, the incentive program, the TOT sharing program. There are some things that we want to change, and they want to change within that agreement that will help them move forward. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions you may have about this. Again, this is not specific to that hotel. This is just the general program at this time. So,
any questions for Cleve? Once again, we have nobody in the public, and so I will open public comment and close public comment with seeing nobody in the audience. And Cleve, this is a program that we initiated. What was that? 2015, in hopes of incentivizing hotels to come to Placerville.
Correct.
And we've had quite a few people take a look at Placerville over those years with this program, and this is the first one. This is the first hotel group that is. Well, there's been several along the way.
No, they've all.
A lot. What my point is,
Yeah.
is that we've had a lot of people try and make it work.
Right.
And up till date, we haven't had anybody until now get it this close where we've gone to peak, and it's going to be going to the Planning Commission, and it's just a few clicks away from actually showing up here. And so this program has worked, and without this, would you think that we would have a hotel coming to town?
I think if we did not adopt this and that agreement went away that we currently have, I can honestly say I feel pretty comfortable saying that we would struggle to keep this development moving forward.
I asked that question knowing the answer already, of course.
Right, I know.
But you know, I don't want to spill the beans, but.
I agree. I think the proof is in the pudding, like
Yes.
you just got through saying. We've had so many. We get right up to the starting line, and then they leave.
Right.
You know, and so it must be a difficult. I don't have anything to do with hotels, but these folks do. They're experts. They know what their costs are and stuff, and they can't commit to something unless, you know, and we're not the only city that does it. Everybody,
Right.
Gives these incentives to try to. And I hope this goes through, and I think we're going to realize, not just for money reasons, but we just need a nice hotel like that in our city limits.
Right. And, you know, when you talk about giving away tax dollars to hotels to incentivize them to come to town, I think that's an important thing to acknowledge that we're actually giving. First of all, we create a TOT tax to tax beds so that it'll reimburse our community for expenses associated with that, as well as help support our community, support the hotels and our agriculture and different programs within the city. basically we
And
can do
social things,
yes.
like weddings and
All sorts
birthdays,
of stuff.
you know.
Right. And so we are giving tax dollars away, but if we didn't do this, we wouldn't have any tax dollars to give away because no hotels at this point would come. And I think the proof, like you said, Patty, the proof is in the pudding that these hotels have, a lot of them have come and gone, and this one's actually here, and he's showing up to the plate. And so renewing this is actually renewing our investment in bringing a hotel here and supporting that effort. Without it, we probably wouldn't have a hotel, and we wouldn't be sharing the TOT tax with this hotel for a certain period of time until it's done up. So I just wanted to, kind of daylight a little bit about this because it's something it was done 6 years ago, and I'm sure it was a great conversation 6 years ago. Actually, I think I sat in
We were
and
so
listened to
hopeful.
that. Yes.
It was just, we really thought it was a go.
And this was an aggressive, in my opinion, it's an aggressive approach. But clearly, it was just barely aggressive enough, and we finally got somebody here to build in our community.
And it's going to be a
support
nice,
hotel.
from what I've seen, the plans and everything, it's going to be.
Yeah, we'll cross that
something
bridge here in a bit.
I know,
right?
but
Yeah.
we're approving,
Yes,
to
incentive
move
program.
forward, yeah.
Yes.
But when we get there.
All right, if any further discussion, we'll open it up for a motion here.
I'll make a motion to approve extending the incentive program for 3 years as directed by staff.
Second?
All right, roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Borelli?
Aye.
Councilmember No?
Aye.
Mayor Thomas?
Aye. Thank you very much. Moving on to item 12.4, adopt a resolution approving a subdivision improvement agreement for Cottonwood Park Phases 4 and 6 with DLLM and LP and authorize the city manager to execute the same. Ms. Neves.
Good evening again. As council is aware, Cottonwood Park Phases 4 and 6 planned development is moving forward under the new ownership and renewed energy of DLLM LP. Cottonwood Phases 4 and 6 will construct 39 single-family residential parcels as a condition of the development. Specifically, in Condition 23 and 26, it requires the execution of an improvement agreement for the site improvements prior to issuance of a construction permit. Approval of this item tonight would fulfill that requirement and the conditions referencing the improvement agreement. The agreement is attached to staff's report for your review, and if you have any questions or concerns, I'm happy to answer them. That concludes my report, and I'm happy to answer any questions you have.
Any questions before I open this up for public comment? We're going to let the okay, we're going to go ahead and open it and close it for public comment as there's nobody in our audience, and we'll bring it back here for further discussion. Discussion?
I just wanted to note one of the conditions was completion of Duffy Park, and I just want to mention that hillside, there's no development on it. It'd be really nice to just have a nice dirt trail going up to Clay Street as a final part of that development. Just something.
Just saying.
Hint, hint. Got it.
Wish list. Patty? All right. We haven't had the opportunity to have a development come before the city council like this as long as I've been on here, and at least I don't recall, and which isn't long, unlike Patty, who's been here a long time, and you've seen these things come and go, quite a few, haven't you?
Well, with this,
Yes.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
All the sections.
Yeah, and it's very interesting if our public hasn't taken the time to review this document. Oh, the significant amount of conditions that are put on a project such as this to make sure that it actually is a viable and meaningful contribution to our community, not just housing, but the sidewalks, the parks, all the amenities that go with it, the street lights, and there's a lot that goes into that from the planning department and engineering that make sure that this really adds to our community and it's a meaningful contribution. And so I appreciate all the work that staff has put into making this as we move this forward. I haven't had a chance to comment on this ever, so there's a lot of work that has gone into this, and as well as
Certainly
the developer that finally stood up and is willing to bring more housing to our community, and which is huge. I know that property sat vacant, and it's like ready to go. Pads were there; they're ready to develop it, and so I think Camp went in there and padded it out and got it all ready and looking beautiful with all the rocks and retaining walls that he did up there. So I just appreciate VeerCamp once again investing in our community and making things work there. So thank you. Doug, wherever you're at. Yes.
I just want to make one more clarification. In some of the paperwork, it says 29 single-family homes, but we clarified that it's actually 39 single-family homes. So I just wanted that clarified for the public.
Correct. We got a little punch happy on our digits on the keyboard by accident. It is 39.
There's quite a few houses back in there. I didn't realize how far it went back. So
That's
it's
a really nice neighborhood up there, and I think this is just going to do nothing but add, give it more.
And all the Clay Street people aren't here. I wish they were, because they would. I think it would give an opportunity for them to express how important it is to make sure that Clay Street Bridge gets built, because this was done here for people. This was done quite a bit of time ago, and they have these people do have the opportunity to build on this property. And I think it's even more important that we get our Clay Street Bridge over the finish line and get that going with community input and as it is part of this development. This development did put money into Clay Street, and so part of that is getting this done. So, with that, can we get a motion, please?
I'll move the item.
I'll second.
All right. Roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Borelli?
Aye.
Councilmember No?
Aye.
Mayor Thomas?
Aye. Thank you. All right, moving on to item 13, council reports from other agencies' meetings. El Dorado County Transit Authority, Kara is not here.
I'm also on that.
Yes.
I could give
Jackie.
Yes, tell us all about it.
We had a discussion just about the future of transportation. A lot's changed since COVID, and Uber and Lyft has affected. So it was just a conversation and talking about the need for a strategic plan to see how we move forward.
Was there discussion about micro vehicle or micro, what do they call it? Micro something.
Yes, exactly.
Like small buses instead of big buses, more small buses instead of one big bus type of thing?
Talking about whether we invest in the large buses, if they're going to be used or not. Taking a really hard look at what
I think that's really important.
Yeah, Kara had brought that up during the meeting, taking a really hard look at that.
All right, thank you.
I just don't see those big buses, very many people on them.
Right. Let's see. El Dorado County Transit. Rebecca, I'm going to put you on the spot here, and sorry about this, because usually I like to give you a heads up, but
How can I help?
We did talk a little bit about the Highway 50 project.
The flyover?
Right, the flyover at this meeting, and there was some funding and things, and I can't do you recall the details of it, or do you know?
There's an opportunity with the recent federal funding act. The acronym is IIJA, to kind of give a shot in the arm to some funding opportunities. They emphasize on grant funding opportunities and competitive opportunities versus, kind of just selecting, or allocating money to regions. One of the other ways that they help is they actually have been giving a shot in the arm to existing programs, including ATP and Highway Bridge Program, Active Transportation Program and Highway Bridge Program, which actually are two large federal funding sources that we utilize often. As far as the flyover, there is an opportunity, and it would be kind of a concentrated effort, but it would be a opportunity to get the planning portion of that project funded. We've gone through a lot of public outreach over the last couple of years. We had to wait for an opportunity for the community to kind of come to the decision or the feeling that they were ready for a change in our traffic patterns around here, and they've reached that point. And now that they've reached that point, now it's up to us as their servants through our public good to try to deliver on finding a solution, and that's the solution that we're leaning towards.
All right. Thank you. One of the reasons I brought this up is going into this meeting, and before I got the agenda, I was like, man, I need to go talk to them because it seems like nothing's getting done. And with regard to that, because, a lot of things happen in the background and conversations are had, but they don't always rise to the level of coming to the council or to the Transportation Commission because they're still all just planning and talking about it. But there are things happening. There are conversations being had, and I think that the Transportation Commission has it definitely has taken to heart our concerns here in our community, and with the traffic patterns going around town, especially given the fires and the evacuation routes and all sorts of things about this community for public safety, and as well as for our own community well-being. So that is going on. That's one of the things. That's one of my great takeaways of this last meeting is that we that's actually still on the radar, and they're still moving forward with that. So, with that, LAFCO, Councilmember No.
LAFCO, last meeting, we had a lot of updates on recruiting for our EO, updates from the Budget Committee. Notably, they're looking at raising the budget by 20%, which will affect us, our contributions towards that, but that's not a final yet. Patty's on that Budget Committee. And updates from our Strategic Planning Committee.
All right, I'm going to skip over Pioneer Energy. I'm going to go to
SACOG, you're skipping?
I'm skipping SACOG because that's Michael.
Mike's.
And I'm going to come back to Pioneer Energy as soon as I look up something here while you're talking.
Well, I participated in the Fire Safe Council meeting via Zoom, and we were fortunate that we had Mark Egbert there, and he reiterated probably the same things that he talked to you about, but things, it's even more progressive now. And he gave us a lot of hope and told us ways that this all needs to be approached for funding. And he's more than happy and willing to meet with the Fire Safe Council again. And then they're planning a fundraiser. It's actually a fundraiser informative. Then we're going to have it here at Town Hall out in the parking lot, and coming up with all kinds of ideas and how they're going to make that go. So it's a good meeting.
All right, thank you, Patty. I am looking for something from Pioneer Energy. A reminder, December 16th. Okay, just a minute. There's a community meeting.
I think it's actually tonight.
Is it?
I think it's
if they overlap tonight?
I think so. 'Cause
okay.
I remember noting that that's the same night as our council meeting, so I think it's tonight.
Okay. Yep. That must have been it. That's why I'm just talking about it tonight. So one of the things with Pioneer Community Energy, I get a lot of information from them, though I'm an alternate. One of the things that I saw come out is that it's much more favorable if you have solar panels to sign up with Pioneer Energy. And I encourage you to look at your, to get on the website on Pioneer Energy and take a look at their site when it comes to your solar panels, because they allow you to true up on a monthly basis instead of an annual basis. And if there's money left over, you get to cash it out, you get to roll it over, as opposed to the end of the year. There's quite a few benefits if you have solar panels on your house that this would, because at one point it was like, well, it's the same as at one point it's the same as PG&E, but they've actually developed a program that's much more favorable for somebody who has solar panels. Did you have more to add to that?
Just a couple of things.
Sure.
One thing I mentioned, I attended one of their workshops a month or so ago, and that's generally true, but there's different solar programs you can enter into. So make sure anyone that's looking at that you talk to them first before you decide opt in or opt out.
Right.
If you have solar. The other thing, couple of things we had talked previously about. There's an add-on fee, a PCIA fee that PG&E does for these community aggregates that we do, similar to Pioneer, and we thought we would know that by today. However, PG&E has now delayed that until March, so we won't know until March. However, at this point, Pioneer is saying our rates, for those that join Pioneer, or don't opt out of Pioneer, I should say, you'll be in unless you opt out, are 7% lower than what you would be if you stayed with PG&E. The other thing is, just to update you on this, Pioneer, I've scheduled them to come to our meeting on January 11th. And just do a simple presentation about where we are in the process and answer some of these questions. So they will be doing a presentation for us on January 11th.
And if you have any questions about Pioneer Energy, they are available to take your phone call,
right,
and talk to you about what your what might be your benefit or might not be your benefit. And, they'll give you a straight up answer depending on your bills. I'd encourage you to have your bill ready for you before you give them a call. But at the same time, I'm not trying to sell it, but at the same time, I think so far it still looks like a good program. And when we went into this, we weren't sure what it would look like at this time. And with PG&E changing things around, they're always trying to, what's the right word? I don't want to say manipulate, but
Well, they are.
to give themselves advantages through this process. And they're a for-profit company, and they're acting like it. So, and one of the nice things about Pioneer Energy is they work for us, and they don't have shareholders that they're beholden to when they come back when it comes to selling the energy to us.
You're talking about that solar, and just in the last day or two, there's been something come out about PG&E now is requesting that they're not given the funding. When you have a solar, that so much went back to you bought and
That's the state. The state's reducing their incentives.
Is the state?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
So,
That's for people that want to go to solar. The incentives may not be there.
may not. Okay, just the ones that join it now. They can't take it away if it's already there, right?
Hopefully not.
And,
Unless they figure out a way.
Councilmember No. Opportunity Knox, Continuum of Care.
All right, the general meeting had, general updates on their intake, exit data, financial reports, the presentation by Housing El Dorado. I want to encourage everyone to go to their website, edokcoc.org. You can get more information and updates and documents if you're interested in that. And also, they held 2 meetings for strategic planning, one for non-permanent housing, one for permanent housing. So that is moving ahead. And a lot of work to be done still.
Where are they at in their general plan? I mean, not their general plan, their strategic plan.
So the way I understand it is they've held their meetings, and now they're going to put together a strategic plan, which will be then out circulated to the public and all the agencies, and then hopefully everyone will get an opportunity to comment on that and give them input to improve that plan.
All right. So one of the things about them, it was somewhat disappointing that they did not show up to the county to have a discussion about the hostess program.
Oh, really?
I was disappointed that they chose not to attend. The county had Don Ashton, Don Simone, a few other people there in the room to have a meaningful discussion about how to move that program forward. One of their tenets in their mission statement is that they are a convener and that they bring people together because they sometimes say they're not the ones to do the project, but they want to work with people that do. We have a willing person trying to set up a program, and they decided not to show up to the table. And I have to say I was very disappointed to hear that. So maybe they'll show up at some point in the near future, but until then, we'll stand by, I guess. With that opportunity, Knox, we're done there. Request for future agenda items. Hearing none. Can't go to public comment on that. All right. Moving on to item 15.1, City Manager and Staff Reports. Acknowledge and file HDL, sales tax, and economic reports for this. We should have started off with this. This is just a feel-good one here. Right, Dave? With
We did start out
caution.
with it.
Feel good with caution, right?
There you go.
Cautious optimism.
Yes.
All right. It's all you, Dave. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll cover the highlights. So, very good report. You may recall that the second quarter of 2020 was really the depths of the COVID-19 pandemic. It's when the hard lockdowns were happening, store closures downtown and throughout the country, and the economy kind of came to a standstill. But believe it or not, during that quarter last year, we experienced a 6% increase, primarily because of online sales tax. So building upon that, this quarter, ending June 30th, 2021, we actually, on the cash basis, experienced a 21.7% increase in your Bradley Burns, which is your general fund sales tax, And then when you take out the prior period adjustments, which were primarily negative, it was actually a 25.3% increase. And then your add-on sales taxes, your Measure J, H, and L, you had an 8% decrease last year because of the pandemic. And so that unwinding of the pandemic, we actually experienced after adjustments or removing the adjustments for your add-ons, 36.1%, which is tremendous. Now, the only thing the mayor mentioned, caution, I want to caution the council that as you're aware, inflation is real right now. It's big. It affects everything, including groceries and vehicle sales, gasoline especially. And so what that means is the base of your sales tax, the figure that is used to calculate your sales tax, has inflated because of shortage of resources and other, logistics and those kind of things that you hear in the news. Those things hopefully will be one-time in nature. So in other words, when things deflate, because you can only raise prices so high, and eventually it affects people's discretionary income, and they can no longer eat out or maybe take that extra trip, and so it forces prices down. And so what that will do is force your base for tax, your sales tax, down. So you could actually see, after the unwinding of the inflation, your taxable base going down, which then would reduce your sales tax. So although we're at a high right now, and that's a good thing, and I don't want to squash that, but we just need to really monitor that. And when we meet with HDL in February, that's one of our primary questions: how much of this increase is due to inflation? And we'll provide information back to the council regarding that. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Patty, questions?
No, I don't have any.
I guess this would be kind of akin to the way we lost so many jobs, and then we have these job creations, and all of a sudden we have this record growth in job, but it's really bringing a lot of jobs back. But some of this is, we did better than expected through the pandemic,
Yes.
and now we're doing better than expected coming out of the pandemic.
We're very blessed.
But we're not going to spend it yet. We're going to be cautious on this.
And be careful not to build upon that
Right.
in the future. Not
Right.
too much, anyway.
Well, I've always appreciated your approach to our finances and your conservative approach. It's served us well over the years, and we've had our reserves, and we've had money that we've needed in very challenging situations there for us. So thank you for that, and thank you for your report on that.
Thank you. It's a team effort. Appreciate
All right. Receive and file November 2021 police report statistics. And this is Chief Joe Wren.
Thank you, Mayor. Things are pretty plateaued over the last, let's say, couple of years. No real spikes in anything. It's an increase over 2019, which we would have considered a normal year. 2020, again, I will, continue to beat this drum. During a time when everybody's supposed to be locked down, it was one of the busiest years we've ever had. 2021 is following close behind. I want to brag about the police department a little bit. The months of November and December are extremely busy for our team. Not only do they handle the work, the police work, but they're also engaged in a lot of civic and charitable activities. And we're calling them away from their family to do stuff like the Festival of Lights and the parade and stuff like that. Also, every year that I've been up here, I've taken a group of officers with me to participate in the snowball event, which is the shopping with the kids through the Boys and Girls Club. And I got to tell you, that brings home for me at a personal level why I do this. When you have kids that aren't concerned with all of the political rhetoric and all the garbage that's out there, who are appreciative to get a pair of socks for Christmas. And I think we've lost sight of that. I think society's lost sight of that. So for me to be out there and participate and be able to bring our officers out there, several of the newer officers, first time they ever participated in that event, and they have the same feedback. So that's the culture that we want to develop in the city of Placerville for the police department. I think that's going to bring us success in the future, especially if our young officers develop that mentality of, service without strings and being out there and just doing your very best. We're still a very proactive police department, which I believe that is a key ingredient to a safe and vibrant community. we're out there looking for not only problems to resolve, we're also proactive in engaging our business community on outreach efforts and trying to make the environment better for everybody that lives, works, and plays in the city of Placerville. So I'm proud of the team. We're all young at this job. Commander Muser is the most senior guy in the department, and he's been in his current role for, I guess, well, how long have I been doing this now?
Except for the old chief, right?
August, yeah. Well, I'm not young young in tenure in a position. Yeah. So, I think I have to constantly remember that because I challenge the department. I try to lift the bar, and I try to do it in a measured manner that doesn't overwhelm them. But I want to show them that the reason why we're out here isn't to police a community. It's to develop relationships, to work with your neighbors, to work with your friends, to make it better, make the quality of life better in this city. I'm very, even though our calls are up and people freak out sometimes. Oh my God, this is up. Some of those are factors out of our control that we can't do much about. One of the biggest things is the state releasing people into the community that probably shouldn't be in the community. Right. We have to deal with those folks. And we do that in a manner that's not heavy-handed, but it's firm. We still are the police, and we are going to protect this community. So I know I've rambled a little bit, but if there's any questions, anything you see here that you'd like me to expand upon, I can do that. You'll also start to see on our social media, which I don't have. I wrote myself a note to write social media. So I'm going to know where this is coming from anyway. We have started weekly stats on there. So folks in the community, if they get into our social media sites, either our Facebook or Instagram, they'll see weekly our calls for service and what we do. So we want them to be as engaged in the safety of the community as we are. So the only way to do that is to show them what we're doing, show them what we're dealing with, and let them know that, it's a beautiful community and it's an extremely safe community, but we're busy, and we're busy, on their behalf. So that's it.
I'm going to throw you a quick question.
Okay.
So a few of our public commenters talked about the safety of our community, and they were concerned about, I think some of them didn't want to come up here because of the feel that they experience based on their perception of some of the emblems that are around town, the name of our town, the name of our creek, or the nickname of our town and the name of our creek. And so that's their position. But then also, and I totally respect that, they have a choice to come into our community or not. At the same time, they also kind of said that they felt unsafe here. And I don't see that. I don't see that in our statistics. I don't see that on our streets. I don't see that on all the people walking up and down our town.
I take a lot of notes when folks are bringing up this, because we not only want a tangible, safe community that we're able to support those statements based on data, but we also want to address the fear of crime. We don't want people to feel unsafe here. But how do you impact somebody's perception when they're so emotionally involved in their belief system? They believe that a particular group is of significant danger to them. And I understand that. I will tell them that there has been no crime associated with that group that was mentioned today. None. There's been no criminal activity. None. The Festival of Lights, there was no crime. There was nobody injured. The parade, there was no crime. There was nobody injured. Protests, we had, I forget the number, over 30 protests during 2020 and 2021. While other communities that surround us, that are in our region, to include communities of comparable size, they had acts of violence. Right. They had acts of destruction. We had nothing. We had hurtful words and we had hurt feelings, but we made an arrest associated with a protest. It was a threats-based arrest, but we had nobody injured, no significant acts of criminal activity. So I think these people that are making these statements, while I won't dismiss how they feel because it's a very personal thing for them, I will tell them this is a safe community. I've worked in communities that aren't safe. I know what can come up here, and they should not have those concerns. It's fine you don't like a specific group or an organization. That's fine. If they commit an act of violence or violate the law, I'll arrest them. I'll arrest the individuals responsible. That's what we do. I've reached out to a lot of these groups and spoke to them, and whether I like them or not, that doesn't play a part. I'm impartial. I'm law. I'm the middle of the road. It's either right or it's wrong. There's no law violations associated with these groups. I can't kick people out of town like they want me to. Essentially, that's what they want.
It's a
listening
free country.
to this. Yeah. Essentially, they want me to prevent certain groups of people to come into town.
Right.
It's not going to happen in this case. It's truly not. Perception's I think some folks need to come to terms with that coping ability and that perception ability. That's not a crime thing.
Right. Thank you.
What I would like to say, and I would like to have said to the gentleman who said he won't shop here anymore or anything, I would just like him to come downtown on Saturday or Sunday and see all the tourists that are coming here and locals as well. Everybody's happy, and it's a joyous place to visit.
It is. And I walk Main Street routinely, not as much as I'd like to, and I won't do it when it's cold. I don't do the cold. Or rainy, I mess my hair up. But I'm down on Main Street. I'm engaging with the public. I'm engaging with the shop owners. I'm engaging with folks I know throughout the community, and I'm engaging with people who are just visitors passing by. They talk about how wonderful it is.
Exactly.
So we've got. I get it. We've got a group that is unhappy. The police can't make them happy.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah. Thank you for addressing that from your perspective. I do appreciate your thoughts on that. Any comments on this? All right, Tim, top that. First off, before you go, I want to throw you softball. First of all, thank you for volunteering your engine to be in our parade. It was a huge hit getting Santa. It was no easy task also getting Santa down that street with that engine with their brakes, and they did a masterful job getting that down the road safely, and having Santa up there. I saw a lot of kids and that spotlight on them with all the things going on. I mean, it was magical. If it's nice to have Santa come to town and do that for us. Spend his day here before he gets busy on all the rest of his Christmas duties. Just don't know who's watching. And so, and as well, I heard that you had your own pinning ceremonies as well. You brought quite a few guys into our service here recently.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council. I'm not sure how to top Chief Wren, but I would say I'm not. As much as we jab back and forth, it's truly an honor and a privilege to work side by side with Chief Wren, in public safety, and I really appreciate the partnership there. Affirmative. We did participate in the tree lighting event in Placerville and in Pollock Pines, and I will say, having been to the Placerville one multiple occasions, as stressful as it was getting the engine through the crowd, it was an amazing evening to see that many people that came out and really enjoyed the program that was put on, so that was great. We also were involved in the parade, and with a couple of our antique engines, the 1929 American La France engine that we have, which I had the honor of driving this year, which was a bit of a challenge, but it was fun. A side note on that, I happened to be going through some paperwork at Station 25 several months ago, and we actually found the original documents from when the city bought
Oh my gosh, how
the original
neat.
brochure, and they were
Really?
it was tucked away in a safe, in a stack of paperwork, so it's pristine. So
Can we put
we've got
that
something for the new public safety building when we get there.
Ooh, yeah, there you
Can
go.
we display that somewhere, like on the old fire, where the arts and crafts is now, and that's the old fire station? Could we put it in some kind of a case that?
Yeah, I think we want to take that and get it framed up and make sure that we don't lose that.
You want to protect it. You don't want it to
No,
disappear.
no.
Maybe you ought to run copies.
There you go.
And just put the real ones in the safe.
But we did enjoy that, and it was kind of interesting to note that we had the 1929 LaFrance there. We also had our brand new engine 17 there, which is 2021. There's almost 100 years between those two engines while they were rolling down the road, so that was good to see. We did have a promotional ceremony this past Thursday. For our agency, we've promoted 14 of the 15 engineers we need. The engineers are a dedicated position to drive and operate the apparatus. Historically, in our agency, all of our firefighters, they're not only firefighters, but they're driver operators, and we've actually made a move to dedicate that position to a hard code position where those folks that have gone through a pretty strenuous testing process are going to be the only folks driving and operating our apparatus. That will take place on January 15th, the actual movement into those positions. And then the only other thing I would add on to that is, you'll notice in the stats a little bit of a drop-off in calls during October, November, which is pretty typical. It's kind of our shoulder season. I think the last 24 to 36 hours probably make up for that. The crews have been almost nonstop with the weather, and the crews from 25 and 28, along with our cooperating agencies, they worked a pretty good structure fire just north of town yesterday, out off of the Highway 49 Riverwood area. So it was kind of unfortunate. It seems like, we typically have a couple of these fires right before Christmas, which is pretty disheartening. But other than that, crews are doing well, and I'm happy to answer any questions you have.
Good. Any questions? If you could extend our appreciation for all that they've done at your next meeting for the city here. I know that they probably don't hear that enough. That the city council, at least from my perspective, as mayor, this is my last meeting as for the full meeting as mayor. It's a little sad, but it's just to express our appreciation to them.
Absolutely will.
And if you let me know when the meeting is, I wouldn't mind coming and doing it myself. So, yeah.
Our next board meeting?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Thursday, the third Thursday of the month. Is that what it is?
16th or 19th of January, I'll confirm.
Okay, all right, thank you. Oh, that'll be a good one. All right, maybe we'll do it then. Moving on to item number 16. Thank you very much for that report out on both accounts. Upcoming items. Cleve, did you have anything under city managers?
Nothing further
Nope.
tonight.
All right, thank you. Items tentatively scheduled for next city council. I'll read through a few of these. Sewer ordinance discussion, FEMA resolution, Hangtown Creek and sewer, the sewer from Clay to Locust. I'm sure that they're working on that feverishly to figure out what to do there. I know that's always interesting. That's some of our major H&L money hard at work on that. This is all those things that are happening in the background that, getting ready to commence to proceed here. It's a lot of work to get it to the city council. Smith Flat surveying contract, Dewberry designs for Hawking contract, short-term rental ordinance, Pioneer Community Energy presentation, and IT services contract. All some things coming up. With that, it is exactly 7:30, and it's an honor to adjourn this meeting for probably my last time for a while. And thank you, everybody. And I'll have more to say about that later.
I'd just like to say Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to everybody.
Thank you. Merry Christmas. Yes, what she said. Yes. All right. Thank you.